Hello everyone and welcome back to Law Statistics. Today's presentation is based on how civil courts function. There are several steps according to which civil courts function. First is presentation of plaint. It deals with section 26, order 4, 6 and 7. Section 26 and order 4 contain the provisions related to the institution of a suit. Every suit shall be instituted by presenting a plaint in applicate to the court or such officer as to appoint in this behalf. Every plaint shall comply with the rules contained in orders 6 and 7 so far as they are applicable. The plaintiff shall not be deemed to be duly instituted unless it complies with the requirements which are specified in sub-rules 1 and 2. The law of limitation prescribes the time limit for different suits within which an aggrieved person can approach the court for redress or justice. It says that it computing the period of limitation for any suit, appeal or application, the day from which such period is to be reckoned shall be excluded. Place of suing. Section 1520 deals with the place of suing. There are three kinds of jurisdiction. First is the pecuniary jurisdiction, second is the territorial jurisdiction, and third one is the subject matter jurisdiction. Pecuniary jurisdiction defined under section 15. Every suit shall be instituted in the court of lowest grade competent to try it. The word competent denotes that the court must have power to hear the case with regards to pecuniary jurisdiction. Territorial jurisdiction. It is divided into suits related to immovable property, suits related to movable property, and other suits. Whereas section 16 states that the suit related to immovable property shall be instituted where such immovable property is situated. Territorial jurisdiction as defined under section 16 to 20. Section 17, cases in which the immovable property is situated within the local limits of the jurisdiction of different courts. When the suit is filed for obtaining the compensation or relief for the wrong caused to immovable property situated within the jurisdiction of two or more courts, the suit may be filed in any court within those local jurisdiction or portion of the property is situated. Section 18, a place of an institution when the jurisdiction of court is uncertain. In the case where the court taking the cognizance of case does not record the statement and objection is brought before appellate court, the appellate court shall not allow the objections unless it is satisfied that at the time of institution of suit there was no reasonable ground for uncertainty as regards to jurisdiction of court, as there has been failure of justice. Section 19 deals with suits with regard to movable property. Section 20 of the Civil Procedure Code, other suits to be instituted where defendants decides or cause of action arises. Jurisdiction as to subject matter. Different courts have been empowered to decide different types of suits. Certain courts have no jurisdiction to entertain certain suits. For example, suits for testimony succession, divorce cases, probate proceedings, insolvency matter, etc. cannot be entertained by a court of civil judge. Section 2. Consideration of a plaint by the court. Section 11 of the Code of Civil Procedure 1908 embodies the rule of res judicata or the rule of conclusiveness of the judgment as to a point decided either of facts or of law or facts or law in every subsequent case. Step 3 is issue of summons to defendant. Mentioned under section 27 order 5 of CPC, where a suit has been duly instituted, a summons may be issued to the defendant to appear and answer the claim and may be served in manner prescribed. Section 27 order 5 of the Code of Civil Procedure 1908 deal with services of summons. Grounds for issuing a summons. If defendant doesn't appear, then court function is ex parte. Case where defendant doesn't appear after the summons. Last point is the case where defendant appears. Step 5 is plaintiff can apply. At this stage, parties has to produce their documents in the court. Here, parties will produce their documents as well as evidences. Step 6 is the examination of parties by the court. Order 10 is called as the first hearing, whereas Order 11 deals with the discovery and inspection of documents, whereas Order 12 deals with Admission of document. Step 7 is framing of issues. Under Order 14, when one party affirms and other party denies a material proposition of fact or law, then only issues arises. If there is no issue denial, the question of framing issue does not generally arise. Material propositions are those propositions of law or fact. The plaintiff must allege such proposition. Step 8 talks about plaintiff and defendant produce their evidence. Under Order 16 that deals with the issue of summon to witnesses, every summon for the attendance of a person to give evidence or to produce a document shall specify the time and place at which he is required to attend. Whereas Order 18 deals with the hearing of suits and examination of witness. On the day fixed for the hearing of the suit or any other day to which the hearing is adjourned, the party having the right to begin shall state his case and produce his evidence in support of the cases which he is bound to prove. Step 9 is the judgment. In Order 20 deals with a judgment. A judgment may be said to be final decision of the court intimated to the parties and to the world at large by formal pronouncement or delivery in open market. First is a concise statement of case. Second is point for determination. Third is decision given. Fourth is the reasons for such decision. Step 10 is the preparation of decree. A decree is a formal expression of an adjudication conclusively determining the rights of parties with regards to all or any of the matters in controversy in suit, and it may either be preliminary or final. The essential are there must be a judicial determination of a matter in dispute. Such adjudication must have been done in a suit by instituting a plaint. The adjudication must have determined the rights of parties with regard to substantive as well as procedural rights. Such determination must be final and conclusive as regards the court which passes it, and there has to be a formal expression of such adjudication. Step 11. Review, appeal and revision. Review, a judicial re-examination of a case in certain specified and prescribed circumstances. Section 114 of CPC 1908 has stated about who can apply for review. Generally speaking, a person aggrieved has been understood to mean one who has a genuine grievance because an order has been made which prejudicially affects his interest. Appeal, a request earnestly, but in law it has a different meaning. According to law, it's a judicial request to the superior court to review any judgment of the lower court. Whereas revision, the revisional power under the CPC 1908 has been conferred by Section 115 of CPC 1908. It is exercised by the High Court decision and the District Court judge. Execution of decree. When a person obtains a decree from a court of law against another person, his next step is to get decree satisfied. The proceeding by which he moves the court for satisfaction of decree is called execution proceedings. Classification of Order 21 is as follows: application for execution and the process to be applied, stay of executions, mode of execution, sale of immovable property and movable property, adjudication of the claims and objective, resistance and delivery of possession. Application for execution can be made by the decree holder himself, his legal representative, any person claiming under the decree holder, transferee of decree holder, and any one or more of decree holders where it is for benefit of all and no contrary intention is indicated. That's all for the presentation. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead.